There's tremendous pressure at every games conference for developers and publishers to announce that they're making a new game. They have to be seen like they're constantly doing something so that they're perceived as relevant. Throw out some screenshots, a title screen, and a few seconds of gameplay to get the fans going. Let the hype wheel move itself down the hill. But for all of these announcements, there are some companies that you can trust for their release dates and some that you just cannot. Mainly do not trust Square Enix. To quote Jim Sterling, they're addicted to announcing things. So as we move into 2018, we at AltChar have been tracking the stars, staring at tea leaves and gazing into our crystal ball, and we're ready to make some predictions for games that will not be coming out in 2018, even though they have publicly stated to come out this year. So right off the bat, let's get the Square Enix game out of the way. Kingdom Hearts 3 has been baiting the hearts of Disney and anime fans alike. The game has united them into an unholy alliance around a great core game series, but the game has been in development for so long. It was formally announced at E3 2013, but has supposedly been in production since 2006. There have been vague mutters and mentions of the game throughout the years to keep the fire burning. Hell, in June 2014, a short teaser was released, but soon after, a faint smell of Duke Nukem Forever began to appear. In October 2014, Tetsuya Nomura worryingly declared that the development team had switched to Unreal 4. Any student of gaming history would clearly know that change in game engines means development hell. If Square Enix had a definitive date for Kingdom Hearts 3, they would be shouting it from the rooftops, not given a vague 2018 date. Our prediction, 2020 on the PS5. The Dreamcast fanbase is one of the most hardcore bunch of morning gamers since the SNK and Neo Geo fans. For the sake of transparency, we are in both camps.
Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You have been the one. You have been the one for me.
Shenmue was the game that was going to make the Dreamcast. Production and marketing for the console cost over $47 million. At the time, it was the most expensive game ever made. Sega was clearly committed to this franchise before the first game was even released, as some of the costs covered Shenmue 2 and the unreleased Shenmue 3. It was originally planned to be developed for the Dreamcast, but due to the dwindling sales of the console, its games, and the huge losses Sega incurred between 1998 and 2000, it did not seem financially viable for Sega to develop this game. At E3 2015, during Sony's press conference, series creator Yu Suzuki announced that Shenmue 3 will be crowdfunded. Strangely, it didn't seem like Sony was going to be funding this game, instead trying to get the fans to do it. Did they not believe in the game? Well, the fans certainly wanted and believed in the project. They hit their goal of $2 million in 8 hours with almost 70,000 backers. For a brief 1-month period, Shenmue 3 was the fastest funded game in the history of Kickstarter. But what game did Shenmue 3 top on Kickstarter? More on that later. Its release date was set for December 2017, although this was delayed to the second half of 2018. So we have a legendary unfinished franchise for a game that is over 10 years old and relying on Kickstarter to get finished. This doesn't even need to check a star sign for. This ain't coming out in 2018. AltChar predicts an announcement for PS5 in 2020, with the game finally coming out in 2022. Before Shenmue was the biggest Kickstarter game, we had Bloodstained Ritual of the Night by Koji Igarashi. Bloodstained is to be a spiritual successor to Castlevania, which Koji Igarashi had been the series producer from 2001 to 2010. Before Hideo Kojima's dramatic exit from Konami, Igarashi got out first in March 2014. He made a public statement expressing concern for differences in the directions the company was going. For the longest time when I was working at Konami, I was protected by my company. They took care of me. Now I'm kind of anxious. Now out of a job, news of the success of the Kickstarter for Mighty No. 9, a Mega Man-inspired game produced by the former series producer and artist Keiji Inafune, inspired Igarashi that this could be a similar route to obtain funding for a new game. And we all know how Mighty No. 9 turned out. If you don't, the game was panned and went through development hell. By July 2016, the game was in production with an anticipated release for 2017, but 3 months later, they brought in a second studio to help with the release planned for 2018. Not surprising, during this time, the Wii U version was dropped in favor of development on Nintendo's blossoming Switch. Like most Kickstarters, the delay was to match the campaign stretch goals, which, in hindsight, could have been a bit too much. Backers are not going to be happy about this, and very few creators actually produce the good when they have unlimited time and resource. Insert generic George Lucas trilogy joke here. Currently, the release date stands at March 2018, with no definitive date, and with March only 2 months away at the time of making this video, we don't think we're going to be seeing the game this year. AltChar predicts the second quarter of 2019. If any game was worthy of the crown of the next Duke Nukem Forever, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is it. The original Beyond Good and Evil game, released in 2003, was critically praised and gained a cult following, but was considered a commercial failure. The creator of the game said in a May 2008 interview with a French magazine that the Beyond Good and Evil sequel had been in pre-production for a year, but was yet to be approved by Ubisoft. In 2008 and 2009, we had some trailers, but nothing else. Year after year went by, and if you searched any list for most anticipated games of the coming year, Beyond Good and Evil 2 was on it. But finally, during E3 2017, a trailer was released confirming that the game would be a prequel. So, as opposed to changing the game's engine, they've decided to change the whole narrative. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that changing a whole plot and narrative is more work than changing an engine. Rumors stoked by fans are saying the game is gonna be released on Christmas 2018. AltChar predicts summer 2019. And finally, Half-Life 2 Episode 3. AltChar predicts
never.